Muppet Treasure Island. Yargghhhhh. Well, Christmas Carol certainly is one tough act to follow. And instead of trying to top it, wisely the series went with a different adaptation of a classic tale in a new genre, capturing a different energy and tone with its story. A pirate adventure movie starring the Muppets seems like too perfect of an idea, and it was a bold move considering the pirate genre itself is like a black spot for the box office, at least at the time.
Enjoy your cruise, sir. Next! All right, folks, have your checks made out to Rat Tours Limited. Remember, we put the rat in pirate. Good. Oh, thank you, Mr. Plegman. Next!
Rizzo, what are you doing?
What? Oh, this. Well, I figure if the treasure map's a dud, the trip won't be a total loss.
And while I was really excited to finally watch this one, I gotta say, it definitely sounds like a better idea than it actually is. And partially that has to do with the source material itself and how they chose to adapt it. It's still a decent Muppet movie with some good laughs, but it really struggles to reach the caliber of the Muppet movies that came before it. In typical Henson fashion though, you again have a lot of wonderfully crafted sets and sequences. They do a fantastic job at amping up the scale, the bustling puppetry on the docks. It has moments where it really is a beautiful and impressive movie. As your main trio here, you have Jim Hawkins, Gonzo, and Rizzo embarking with Kermit and crew to find lost booty. And you know what? I really like the kid that plays Jim here. I think he does a pretty good job. Apparently that's a hot take, I guess. Apparently people don't like this kid. Okay. I think unfortunately for him though, not enough is really done to make Jim himself very interesting. Rizzo and Gonzo do have to do a bit of the heavy lifting.
Oh, Mr. Bimbo lives in my finger. He's very smart. He's been to the moon. Thank you. Twice.
I smell a bozo.
In contrast, though, you have Tim Curry, who is just wonderful as Captain Silver the second he appears, fulfilling a fantastically mesmerizing human role. Much in the same pulse as Michael Caine in Christmas Carol, only here he's a deliciously entertaining bastard.
What have we here? Stowaways? I'm afraid we shish kebab and barbecue stowaways on this ship.
I truly believe there isn't a single thing this guy wouldn't do for the booty, but more on that later. And Jesus Christ, his singing voice is so good.
All right, Mr. Bimbo. I didn't know you had such a good singing voice. You're welcome.
So you may be wondering why I'm not dropping on the deck and flopping like a boomerang fish for this one. I know this movie's got shooters, I know it's been a childhood classic for many people. Well, the problem is the pacing and emotional crux of the film just kind of feel flat. Silver and Jim's relationship in this one feels rushed, and there was really nothing there to connect to. Obviously, Tim Curry is so fun to watch, but any attempt at a dynamic between him and Jim completely fades away partway through. You do have the scene where Jim freaks out over Silver almost throwing his father's amulet overboard. It feels genuine and like a decent bonding moment.
Ah, yeah, but what if you don't have a compass?
Oh, Mom, John, please don't drop it. It was my father's. It's all I have of his. Please, please.
I'm sorry, lad. I were only fooling.
Convincing enough, but it never even gets close to I'm Still Here levels from Treasure Planet. I'd also like to point out both Treasure Island adaptations have an evil talking crustacean spark the mutiny, so that's something. Look at that, that's neat. Well, so what's with Tim Curry and always tricking kids into handing him shit?
You want it, don't you, Georgie? Oh, of course you do. And when you're down here with me, you float down!
As a Muppet movie, it just feels alright. It's funny enough, it's creative enough, and it's difficult to read just how much of its shortcomings are due to the source material they're working with, or if it's just poor execution. Like Miss Piggy is the Ben Grimm stand-in in this one, and she doesn't show up until the last 20 minutes of the movie, and her presence till that point is severely missed. It's like once she shows up on screen, that energy that felt missing finally starts to show its head. Apparently Miss Piggy's been passed around, and both Kermit and Tim Curry have some history with her, and man does he sell it.
Touching reunion, Benjamina. This seems to be your day for renewing old acquaintances.
Oh, well, hello, Long John. Oh, no. Him, too? Well, if you married me...
What I tell you, anything for the booty. Oh, and for all the sheeple that said it wouldn't have been possible in Attack of the Clones to have a puppet Yoda fighting Count Dooku, Muppet Treasure Island exposes them all as bitch made. Look at him go!
Why don't you pick on somebody your own size, huh?
This is a decent Muppet movie overall. It's got its moments, it's got some laughs, but the pacing just feels surprisingly bad and aimless. None of the songs really hit like they should, some feel entirely pointless and forgettable, and what tends to translate well from the source material varies considerably. It feels pretty uneven. And that's sort of the thing, maybe this shouldn't have been just another adaptation of a classic novel. The Muppet Christmas Carol worked brilliantly because of its emotionally powerful story at the center told with, well, Muppets inhabiting that world. In contrast, this feels like a Muppets pirate movie that's forced to be Treasure Island when really it didn't need to be. It could have just been a fun pirate genre movie starring the Muppets telling a unique story. The lack of screen time of Kermit and Miss Piggy and the rest of the gang in Muppet Christmas Carol works so well because there was a strong emotional core to that story tying it all together. Muppet Treasure Island doesn't have that, so for a huge chunk of its screen time, it's pretty dull. Every time the question of a new Muppet movie comes up, people are always throwing out more novels and stories that the Muppets should adapt. Make Muppet Lord of the Rings, No Country for Old Frogs, Muppet Meridian, and yeah, I'd be there day one. I don't think the Muppets as a franchise needs to limit themselves to adaptations though, just because it works so well the one time with Christmas Carol. Especially because, well, they're the Muppets, they can do anything. I'd be perfectly happy to see them follow the formula from The Great Muppet Caper, where the Muppets take on new roles in different genres to tell a new story. The idea of a swashbuckling Muppet movie is fun, the gags are fun, it's not bad, not by any stretch of the imagination. I can definitely see why Muppet Treasure Island is so beloved, and I'm glad we got this one, or else we wouldn't have discovered the real treasure that is this infectiously charismatic and charming performance from the GOAT himself, Mr. Tim Curry.
Oh, you are a good man. You are a kind man, a handsome man.
Precious.
Oh, you're precious. And
Beautiful.
And he's beautiful. Oh.
Muppet Treasure Island, pretty good, but just doesn't pan out as well as you'd expect. Yargghhhhh.
Well, you know, I for one feel better about myself. Yeah, and I believe that I have learned a valuable lesson.
Why?
What?